Dude, what? How did you destroy the shop in a week?
I haven't been here since we finished up last time.
This looks exactly like the last time I saw it.
Except if you come over here, you might notice it's bleeding a little bit, so.
That's not good.
Yeah.
So here's the plan. The Vanishing Paint Challenger is back. You saw it a couple episodes ago when we put the 360 in it, and you did the shift kit on the used 727, which actually worked.
It's actually a great car now.
I know, that was pretty good. The whole car is awesome. Ford 9-inch in the back. The problem is it still handles like garbage. Remember when we were driving? Yeah, and so we're here to fix that this time. I'm gonna keep with the theme of this car, which is middle of the road stuff. We're not spending super high bucks on parts, and it's also not just junkyard bone cheap. And so we're gonna be doing a suspension on the thing.
Can we also put a hood and windshield in it?
Yeah, I think we should fix the oil leak and go drive the thing around, maybe find a couple corners where we can test it so that we will know if it's superior once we're done.
Oh yeah, well you have to evaluate it for sure.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that, Freiburger. Oh man, look at that disgusting pool of oil.
That's super bad.
I think it's the drain plug, because there's no way that it could leak. It's impossible.
Yeah, with not running.
Yeah, so it should be an easy fix.
Yeah, the drain plug has a distinct drip coming off of it, and nothing else is wet. The front seal's dry as a bone.
Do you see a gasket on the plug?
Yes. Oh yeah, it's actively dripping as we speak. Right there. Whew, easy fix.
Here's a little detail that's gonna make the car a lot nicer to drive. The original seatbelts were in the car, but they were so filthy that you just wouldn't believe it. And I ended up sticking them in the washing machine, and they came out like perfectly clean. So I'm gonna replace the aftermarket seatbelts with the originals. Plus, best of all, they have the original seatbelt reels, and I'm sure the mechanism still works perfectly.
Test drive. Ready for the VP to spring to life? My door panel is rattling.
How do you like the new seatbelts?
Much better. They're OE.
This thing sounds pretty good.
All right, off to find like handling course. There's no need for an aftermarket shifter when you have the slapstick.
No, because it's as good as any aftermarket shifter as far as I can tell.
The toe is bad or something, because when you're going down the road, it wants to do this.
Yeah, once we rebuild the front suspension, I think we should get it aligned.
We need to.
We actually need a course.
This road looks like a main highway.
Well, it kind of is. Yeah, it's pretty hard to evaluate handling around here.
This is the desolate wasteland of dead straight roads. I'm pretty sure we should go back there and just make our own slalom.
Hey, that's a good idea. I know just how to do it too.
How?
Rocks.
Rocks? I don't want to hit rocks.
No, dirt clods.
Dirt clods?
Yeah. And the beauty of it is they'll disintegrate and they'll still be there. It's just going to be like a cloud of dirt.
Oh! That hit the wheel on the edge. That hurt. That's going to leave a mark.
Just pull over, I'll find some rocks.
Yeah, I think this is pretty good.
So do you like the rock idea?
Well, the dirt idea, not the rock idea.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about like granite stones. I'm talking about dirt clods.
Yeah, you're an expert on clods.
No, thanks, man.
How's that wheel look? Did it just gack the wheel? Wow, it didn't. That hit really hard.
Yeah, but I think it was just sidewall.
Yeah, those 18s just are rock hard. Okay, so I think this is safe. No traffic, no people, pretty much abandoned.
Yeah, I'll just set up the first rock, let's say, right around here, and then we'll skip 2 dashes and the next rock, or do you think that's gonna be too far apart?
No, let's do it. I don't want to get going too fast, so get your clod.
I gotta go find some.
Normally we have no problem testing our cars around here because there's just abandoned roads dead straight everywhere. This time though, we want handling. So what we're gonna do is make a slalom on this abandoned road, and hopefully it'll be semi-scientific with Steve timing me as I, wallow through the slalom. Okay, are you ready?
I've got my timer. I'm gonna hit it when you hit the first clod.
Oh, this is tight.
Yeah.
Ready?
Oh, you hit a clod. You hit another clod. Come on, Freiburger. You
Man, I hit every clod. Do you want to set them up the same way and try it again?
Yeah, let me get some new rocks to replace the ones you destroyed. Freiburger, did you notice the genius of rocks?
Yeah, but they disintegrate.
I don't know why they don't use rocks for regular autocross. They use the stupid cones.
Yeah, and then you drag the cones all the way under the car for a mile.
Get stuck.
That would never happen with a dirt clod. What was my time?
Oh, man, I forgot to time you. Maybe I didn't. I don't know, I was a little excited.
Well, the clods are way too close together for like a normal slalom. The thing is, I'm thinking that's okay because it's making me put much more steering angle into it, so it's throwing the car more. The downside is the car's going slower, so that inertia isn't throwing the car quite as much. But I think it's gonna give us a good test A/B on our suspension change. Ready, Dulcich?
Yeah, I'll try to remember to hit stop this time.
Ready, in. Out. 704. Okay. Wow. All right. I think I can drive it even with the smashed quads. Ready? Yeah. In. Out. 713. Ready? Yeah. In. Out. I smashed a quad. Yeah, it was around 670 that time. In. Out. 629. That's pretty good. Yep. It did hit a quad though. Oh yeah? Yeah. In. Out. 614. Really? Yeah, you're kicking ass. But I hit a quad. Oh. Man, I just keep hitting clods. That's the problem. We're getting faster and faster though. We're now at the point where when I hit clods, it's like 620. And when I don't hit clods, it's like 650 to 675.
I don't know how much room we have left for improvement.
Really?
It's so excellent right now.
It's a waterbed. No. Yes, it is. It's
I don't
terrible.
know. I don't know if I buy that. This thing handles like it's on rails.
The six-clod test was pretty fun. What I'm worried about is that we're not going to make it actually faster though, but I'm sure we will make the thing turn in better and definitely have less body roll with this stuff right here. So in the past, I've run the full Hotchkiss Performance kit and loved it, but this is probably about half the price. Basically, we're gonna rebuild the front suspension with regular old parts, although I did go all out and get the Moog instead of the off-brand stuff. We are gonna replace the upper control arms with polyurethane bushings instead of rubber because they have less deflection. Next up, we're gonna install beefier torsion bars. The torsion bar is the spring in one of these Mopars. The larger diameter, the higher the rate. The stock diameter on this thing is 0.880 and the ones we're putting in are 0.980. Next up, generic sway bars, front and rear. These I really like. QA1 replacement strut rods. These are really cool. And finally, I didn't go full cheap on the shocks. They're QA1, which is really good, but they are the single adjustable instead of the double adjustable. So that's the package I put together. We're gonna throw it on the car, show you how, and then go back and do the six-clod again.
Okay, now we've got everything taken out of the car and it's time to start rebuilding stuff. And this is the part that gives people the most trouble, the lower control arm. Now this one, the pivot pin, you usually have to press it out, but it was so blown out that it just came out by hand. But the inner sleeve of the bushing will be stuck onto the pivot pin. You hammer it in a couple of different directions. That expands it, and then boom, it comes right off. It doesn't get any easier than that. Now, back at the control arm, you still have the rubber part and really just pops right out. Normally, I just ramrod it with the screwdriver. Oh, look at that, it's out. So this leaves us with the outer shell of the bushing and the control arm. And believe it or not, the factory technique for removing it is hammer and chisel. And you'll gouge the heck out of this inner bore. So what I do is I weld like a large washer. In this case, I'm using a valve spring retainer to the lip of the bushing shell. And that gives me something that I can press against on the back side. You have to be careful not to actually weld the shell to the control arm. You've got a little flange to work on, and just keep your weld on that. Got my lower control arm rigged and depressed, and this large bolt is pushing on the back side of it. And then I put this piece of pipe here at the bottom. That's going to be the receiver. Now either it's going to push the bushing shell out of the control arm, or my welds are going to break. Wish me luck. Oh, look, I can feel that yielding right now. This is working perfectly. Like magic. Presto. It's pressed out perfectly. Then I'm ready to start reassembling with new bushings and a new ball joint.
A big part of the stuff we're doing with the suspension is removing all unwanted motion, and that includes flexing of parts. This is the lower control arm, and you can see that it's just made out of like stamp steel, and it actually has a lot of flex in it. So what I got here from Mancini Racing is a stiffening plate that I can weld right to the underside right here. And the big tip is to make sure that you've got room for your torsion bar adjusting bolt right here. So I'm gonna grind this clean and then weld her up. You'll notice that I'm doing this before Steve pushed the rubber bushing in. It probably wouldn't get hot enough to hurt that, but be safe. So I'm gonna finish welding it, and then he'll go back to pressing bushings.
I'm going to move on to disassembling the upper control arm. It still has a reinforcing ring. You don't reuse that or replace it, but the only way you're going to get that off is to cut it all the way across to release it. The next thing I want to do is to remove the upper control arm bushings. Now, what I use is a jack screw, but the real secret is this piece right here. I just got a pipe fitting. You can see it fits on and supports the jack screw perfectly against the control arm. I add a socket, then my washers. Kind of like to think I invented this system. It's been much copied. Mopar specialty shops now sell this tool, but I don't think you'll find that tool anywhere predating an article I did back in the 90s. See? Out. Okay, the last piece of the puzzle is remove the ball joint. Now, they actually screw on the Mopar, so how do you do that? For one thing, it's a square drive, and it's a special square drive. Now, the tool I got here is from Snap-on. It's really expensive, but it's the only way you're going to really be able to do this. I've had this soaking in penetrating oil, and I'm going to use extra leverage here. Ah, there she goes. Now, a lot of times, they're in there so tight that you've got to add heat from a torch. Okay, that's out, and now you know why a lot of guys prefer to buy brand new upper control arms that are already loaded with new parts, because it's a lot of work. You need some special tools, you need a lot of patience, and sometimes, man, you just fail. Now I just have to put this back together.
Steve's gonna start pushing the upper control arm bushings in, so I'm gonna start assembling the front suspension. Look at the difference here between the original strut rod and this new one. They eliminate this bushing right here. See, this bushing is captured in the front of the K-member of the car, and it goes into the control arm like this. It's trying to prevent the control arm from moving fore and aft like this, but those rubber bushings will allow some of that. It also needs to allow the control arm to move up and down like this, which it does, but with bind. And so the QA1 deal has a Heim joint on this end so that it can move much more freely up and down with no bind, but it can't move fore and aft. What you want to do is get it hanging in here loosely, and then the control arm and the strut rod have to go in kind of at the same time at two different angles, which is sometimes a little tricky, like that. Okay, new torsion bar. Believe it or not, there are right and left torsion bars. If you look at the very end of it, it actually has an L on the part number. So all I'm gonna do is go under there and slide this back through there, put the boot on, and then slide it into the hex in the lower control arm. Steve?
Yes?
Can you crawl onto the back and smack the end of the torsion bar while I line up this hex? There you go. Boom, home.
Yeah.
Now we're ready to move on to the upper control arm. Oh, wow, that's gonna be mega unfun. With these bushings in there, the thing is almost a 1/4 inch too wide. This is gonna be a nightmare. As much as I cursed the stupid upper polyurethane bushings, I did finally get them in, and I have to admit, they move nice and free, and there's not gonna be any play in them. So I might have to take back some of my hatred. It's just that they're more difficult to install. Hopefully they don't squeak. There we go. Just throwing on the lower ball joint, and then I will bolt the ball joint to the spindle, and then I will install the spindle on this. I've got just a shock and brakes left. Then I'm gonna go do the other side while Steve does the fun stuff.
Here's our hood, and man, I love this thing. Now, this is an aftermarket reproduction of the Trans Am racing cars in 1970 only. But before I can put it on, it needs a little bit of prep work. This bare gel coat, it won't stand up to the weather, so I've got this Fleet Essential single-stage urethane. It's a pre-mix in flat black. Now, to prep the hood, I'm gonna sand it using a DA sander and some 320, and that's it. No primer involved at all. Now this scoop, it comes just molded with the opening blanked out, so I've got to cut that open. The trick here is just to do this really lightly because the fiberglass is easy to dig into. Just let it float. With the 320, it'll come out perfect. If you look really closely, you can see the matte parts that have been sanded, and basically that works almost like a guide coat. You'll see all the flaws, so just let it float until it's all nice and gray.
Wheel bearing time. You've seen me do this a bunch of times. The glob of grease right in the hand, and it always leaves like that black goo all over me, and it's a big mess for like 6 days. But now we've got the Venom steel gloves, the 2-layer industrial rip-proof gloves that will allow me to actually be able to touch my wife when I get home. So I got the glob of grease in my hand, brand new clean wheel bearing, and I'm just gonna scrub it across my palm like this, pushing it through here until I see the grease come out there. It'll push the old grease out first. Ooh, I just realized another benefit of wearing gloves doing this. I always wear my palm raw doing this, but right now I can't even really feel it on my skin. All I really have to do is tighten up that wheel bearing nut and put the brakes back together, and we're good to go.
It's not perfect, I can tell you that right now, but
Have you seen the car?
It's pretty good.
It's gonna be pretty good. Yeah.
Well, okay, I've completed the first coat. It's just a light coat that I used to kind of cover it up and give me some surface to build on. Now, I'm gonna wait till this flashes off, and then I'll come back and give it a couple of more coats, and that'll be it.
All right, last thing in the front suspension is going to be this front sway bar, which is just a Hellwig kind of budget option. It's a 1 1/8. Oh yeah, this is going to work perfectly.
Really?
Yeah. The factory Mopars have a tab for the sway bar on the lower control arm, and this car didn't come with a factory sway bar, and so there's little brackets I'm going to have to actually weld onto the control arm to make it work. That was a great tack. Other side. All right, now let's pull it all down. Okay, Dulcich, I've got the front end completely done. The sway bar is mint.
We've got a pretty heavy sway bar in the front, and if you don't put one in the back, it's just not going to be balanced. The car will tend to understeer. Adding a rear bar will balance it out and hopefully make it go around corners a lot better.
You know, when you're putting junk together, don't just take the kit for granted. You gotta inspect stuff. In this case, the bar was way too close to the rear end housing, and when the suspension moved, it was gonna hit it and bind up and cause problems. And because we observed that, we were able to fix it. Dulcich whipped out a set of aluminum blocks. He just cut this out of some stock, drilled some holes in it to match the U-bolt spread. And I'm gonna be able to put them right here between the U-bolt and the bracket that attaches it to the rear end housing. And all of a sudden, like magic, we've got all the sway bar space right here that we need. Okay, we're gonna install our fiberglass hood. Boom! Fits perfectly. Wow, look at that. Boom!
Boom!
That's actually victory moment.
This thing's badass.
It is awesome. Okay, ready to find out if this thing rides like a truck?
Yes.
I mean, what do you think?
I think the ride is acceptable.
Yeah, this is a horrible road and it's not that bad.
Boy, it sure does look good looking over that scoop hood.
I know. It's pretty cool. Man, I'm so relieved. I thought it might be ruined as far as ride quality, and it's fine.
I agree, Freiburger. It's really pretty good.
You're actually admitting it's improved from stock?
Yes.
Yeah?
Whoa.
Oh, man.
Don't do that when we're going so fast.
Actual G-force without body roll.
Yeah.
Kind of amazing.
It doesn't understeer. You would know on the dirt.
That was quality.
That was good.
Yeah, I like
Made
it.
a great smoke screen too. You could lose the cops in a smoke screen like that.
Yeah. Well, I guess we better head to the six-clod.
Yeah.
Okay, so our average on the before test was about 650, right?
I would say 675 was the average.
Okay, 675.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
In. Whoa. Whoa. Out.
710. We're slower.
We're slower, but that's because I wasn't used to it.
Well, you didn't hit any clod, so that was good.
Yeah. We'll have to warm up. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
In. Out. Really? What was it?
564.
There you go. I didn't hit one either.
Wow.
Let's see if we can repeat that. In. I hit one. Out.
604.
Wow.
It's
We made
faster.
it way better. Ready?
Yep.
In. Out.
585.
Man, this is great.
I know.
In. Out.
602.
Pretty consistent.
Yeah.
In. Out.
555.
It's a full second quicker.
Yeah.
Wow, those brakes are awesome.
Yeah.
Man, everything about this car rules.
It's full win.
In the six-clod, it is a full second faster and flatter and more predictable. You can come in hotter.
We went from junker to race car in 3 days.
So this is what's really awesome about all of this, is for the first time ever, we're kind of gonna build a car on Roadkill Garage and then use it on Roadkill. The next episode of Roadkill, you're gonna see me and Dulcich taking this thing to Nebraska for a tire rack autocross.
We might even win.
I doubt it, but man, it's gonna be fun. Let's get out of here. Maybe we should hit the road right now, actually.
We might make it.
Yeah, try and time me this time.
How could I have not timed you? It's just ridiculous. Ah, it's still rolling. It's 4 minutes.